Now, this little video will only be of interest to people who have suffered um, problems with their electronics on these modern vehicles. I have a Citroen Xantia 1995, which has a ECU, which stands for Electronic Control Unit, and I'm going to tell you what's happened in this last few days. Okay, it's like a story, but it's quite interesting for those people who have had problems of this nature. Citroen Xantia 1995 2-litre injection. It was due for its MOT, its annual test, this month, and we took it for its test, and it failed on the emission, and we took it to a local mechanic that's done quite a bit of work for us. He's not an electronic specialist, but he's always done work for us. Not that cheap. It's about €55 an hour, which is about, in pounds, it's about £70 an hour. It's quite a lot of money. But anyway, we took it to him, and he had some kind of test equipment, not specifically designed for this Citroen Xantia, but he thought that it was a sensor, but he wasn't sure which one it was. He thought there was a problem with the sensor, so we didn't pay him. He also found a hole in the exhaust which he welded, and we didn't pay him at the time, but I think he wanted about €20 for that welding. But anyway, as far as I know, or it's from my research on the internet, if you weld on the exhaust system, you should disconnect the battery first, but he disagreed with that. He said it's not necessary. But from my research, one should disconnect the battery first. And it means then, of course, that your radio will not work until you've recoded it, which is not difficult. It only takes a couple of minutes. I have a manual on this. It's all in Finnish, so that's not so easy for me to understand. And it's quite hard to get information on the internet regarding this one particular car. But so we had no choice but to take it to a Citroen garage, Citroen-approved garage, and I thought it would only be about a 15-minute test. I didn't know very much about this diagnostic test at the time, but I thought they would just plug something in and find out what the fault was. And my wife took it. When she came back, she said it cost €80. €80. That's over £100 for what I would have thought would only be a 10 or 15-minute test. But she said that they were messing around for a long time. Now, it's only now that I found out that the actual diagnostic connector, the initials are OBD, which is online diagnostics, is where the fuses are, just inside, near the driver, underneath the steering wheel. There's a flap which you pull down, and there's a 16-pin connector. So as far as I can see, they should have had the correct tester to plug that in, and they would have found the error within a few minutes. But obviously they didn't do that. Whether they were honest or not, I do not know. But all I know is that it cost €80, and they diagnosed the fault as a oxygen sensor. Now, the oxygen sensor is called a lambda, LAMBDA. And I searched on the internet, and you can find used oxygen sensors from €20. But in the end, we decided that we wouldn't do it on the cheap, because it's going to maybe fail again. So we went to our local spares shop, and we bought the correct for this model and for this particular model, and it was €95, which is about £130. So as you can see, the bills are mounting up. Now, when we part exchanged one car, and we offered to take we said, how much would you give us for this Citroen xantia? It's got very low mileage, by the way, it's got about 226,000 kilometres, which is about 150,000 miles. But it's always been serviced, doesn't use any oil, the performance is good. So when we said, how much would you allow? They said it's only worth €300. So you can imagine, since this failure on the test, we've already spent about €300. So I was beginning to feel quite depressed about this. But anyway, after we bought that part, we took it back to the same mechanic who fitted the part. My wife then took the car to be tested again, and it passed. Now, when she came home on the Monday, this week, today is Thursday, when she came home on the Monday, she came home and said, good news, it's passed. But she said, there was a very, very strange sound. She said, when I came home, there was this buzzing noise, bzzz, and then a beeping noise. Oh, I said, really? Well, this Citroen has always been a bit weird with its electronics. We've had many electrical problems with it and many unusual sounds. So I didn't take it very seriously. So I didn't even think about it. But on the Tuesday, when she was going to use the car to go to the town, she came in and said, the car won't start, it's dead. Completely dead, nothing. Oh, I said, okay. So I went outside, went to the car, opened the bonnet, and I thought to myself, I have got actually a special emergency start battery, which also has a compressor on it. It does many, many functions. But you can travel with this. You can even charge it from your cigarette lighter, so it's always fully charged. But I didn't use this. I thought I'd rather see if there's a problem before I just try and put my booster cables on this battery. I just do some checks. And what I did, I've got a charger, which you can then select whether it's a motorbike or a car, connected it all up, and it didn't even recognise a battery and it wouldn't charge. Now, I do know that if a battery has been fully discharged, sometimes it won't take a charge. Also, this battery was red hot. Really, really hot, which I've never come across before. So I thought actually the battery was, kaput, finished. And so what we did, disconnected the battery and took it to a place that sells batteries and also charges batteries. And they gave us a battery to borrow. We bought the battery back. When I went to connect it, I put the negative terminal on first and then the positive terminal. There was a really bright flash. So straight away I knew there was a short circuit. Now, when Lisa phoned this mechanic to say what the situation was, there was a short circuit. This is on Tuesday. He said he would come on Thursday, which is today, and have a look at it. Well, I said to Lisa, I said, he thinks it's a wire which has become frayed, a bare wire somewhere and it's short-circuited. And I said to Lisa, I don't think so. Also, I said, if there is a wire which has become frayed and there's a short circuit, there's miles of kilometres of cables on any car, and to find it, it's a big job, take hours and hours and hours. So I didn't really put much faith in the mechanic coming here on Thursday and finding the fault quickly. So that was on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we were both feeling a bit depressed because we thought, oh, this is our little car which we use for shopping, and we thought this is going to end up with a really big bill. There's something is major wrong. So I started on the Wednesday. I don't think I did much on the Tuesday night, but on the Wednesday, I spent many hours researching this about how to correct this fault, or what could cause this fault. And the first thing I found out was that fitting this lambda sensor and also the welding, the battery must be disconnected first. And what has happened now is that it's changed the ECU, the electronic control unit. This controls all the electronics of the car, and what has happened is opened a circuit which when you connect the battery, it recognises it as a short circuit. Now, I had a look at the ECU. I took it out. I just took it out and looked at it, and I couldn't figure out any way that you could actually restore the ECU. So then I started to look at all the other things that you could do. Eventually, I found out that one way of resetting the ECU is to disconnect the battery again and put the positive and hang on, disconnect the battery again without the ignition keeping on. Turn the lights on. Now this will discharge any static electricity in the system. When you've done that, you then put the two leads together, positive and negative. Just touch them together. That also will discharge any static electricity. Then the next phase then is to locate a fuse called a shunt fuse. It's marked actually SH, but a shunt fuse is in the fuse box underneath the steering wheel, roughly in the middle. And the shunt fuse, when you take it out, the reason for the shunt fuse is this: when they make the car, it can be standing many weeks or months before it's ever delivered or moved. So this shunt fuse can be put into two positions. One is called parking and one is called client. If the shunt fuse is in the wrong position, then the electronics don't work. And what I had with all this research, the cure for this is to remove this, remove the shunt fuse. It looks like a normal fuse, but it's marked SH. Remove that fuse and leave it out for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, put it back on, which I did, and it cured the whole problem. The car started, it ran perfectly well. All the instrument lights were fine. Everything worked exactly as it was. So we hugged each other for sheer joy and happiness that we'd solved this. And I was quite surprised at myself. With all this research, I didn't manage to figure out how to put this right. So the moral of the question is, don't ever do any electrical work on a car, on the Citroen xantia, or maybe other cars as well, without first disconnecting the battery. And all we had to do then was that we went back, and our battery, by the way, wasn't knackered. The battery place had recharged it, we fitted it, and everything worked fine, and we recoded the radio. All works fine, and we're happy. It's an old car, but it's a very reliable little car. Where's the mouse? Oh no, don't need the mouse. I can stop this now. Hope this helps. I will post this to YouTube, and as I said, it's only of interest to those people who have experienced the same problem. I've got to stop this.